Okay, next is a report from Canada by Mr. Terryl Brennan from the University of Victoria.
Hello, so my name is Terryl Brennan. I'm an undergraduate in engineering from the University of Victoria. I'm here with a small group of students as well, Simon Moffat, Cass Husband, and Devin Peltier. And we represent a team in University of Victoria called EcoSat. It's a student-led initiative to build CubeSats, and I'll get to that more in a minute. To give you an idea, what brings us together as a group is what you see on the screen here. You'll notice it's still in a CAD version. We're about 6 months out from having it finished. We're just doing some testing. It's a 3U CubeSat. It's going to be able to do some software-defined radio, some amateur radio. It also has a payload in it that I'll talk about more in a minute. This is the first time that anything like this has happened in our school. We're very, very self-taught, and we'll reflect more on that in a second as well. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about something called the CSDC, which is the Canadian Satellite Design Challenge. I believe it was talked about here last year by a fellow named Larry Reeves, an engineer who worked for Donald Detweiler Associates, or MDA. I'm going to talk about UNISEC EcoSats, and then the impact that EcoSat has had in our community, both with the academic community as well as the business community. The CSDC was created in 2011 by Larry Reeves. Basically, he saw that there were very few opportunities for students in particularly Western Canada, Canada overall, to learn about aerospace and astronautics. He thought there was a real need to create educational opportunities so that there would be a next generation of people to go work at places like MDA. So the competition itself, there's 10 teams, we're one of them. We're building 3U CubeSats. The idea is to be able to provide a communications platform as well as a unique and novel payload. So the EcoSat was started in 2011, the same time as the CSDC. We have one faculty advisor and 15 students. The 15 students, with the exception of one that just graduated, are all undergraduates. The University of Victoria doesn't have an aerospace program, doesn't have an astronautic program. We have the extent that the educational opportunities we have is a single course in aircraft design. So what you saw there, the CAD model, is entirely of our own making and our own education through things like YouTube and the SMAD textbook, largely, and a little bit from MIT OpenCourseWare. But to enable us to do this, we really had to look for people that could help us. That meant creating awareness in our community. And fortunately, through doing that, we were able to meet and find out that there's actually a fair amount of resources available to us that were sort of hiding in the corners. The academic community, we had a need. We have a very, very small budget. I think our budget right now is $8,000 to build this entire thing. We've had to do some deal making with various types of companies, but also it took some partnering with the academic community. There's another school in Victoria called Camosun College that just started up a prototyping facility. And so we went asking them if they'd be willing to help us out. We wanted to have a bit more design flexibility than just basic aluminum branches and bars. So we thought, well, why not 3D printing? And we looked around, we asked them about the materials they have, and we found that there were actually quite a few that are worthy for space, at least we think. We'll find out shortly if that's true or not. Particularly the off-gassing was a concern. We were able to find some material that suited that need. The impact that has on the school, they weren't aware that that was a possibility for them. So they're now actively advertising the ability to help create spacecraft platforms, and it's opening up a great deal of opportunity for them. The impact it has on us is that we don't have to pay for the parts we're getting for them. With the academic community, we were looking for some really neat things to do with this project. that were simple but unique and novel. One of them that I think is going to be interesting is our English department came forward and they said they would like to be able to create something of a bit of a time capsule with some work that they've done and some books that they've created. So we're looking at making downloadable versions of their work that can be downloaded by anybody, anywhere in the world, anytime. We thought that was a fairly neat thing to do. We're also going to be able to so we're also going to be able to work with our business community. So we created some awareness in Victoria that we were looking for support. This fellow named Jim Harrington is one of the more interesting people that we've met recently. He owns a shop in Victoria that makes electric winches. Turns out that he also used to work with the Canadian Space Agency and NASA. And you go into his workshop and it looks like a car mechanic, except that up on the wall behind a piece of greasy plastic, there's a poster with the Ulysses satellite spacecraft with a letter saying, from NASA saying, "Thank you for helping us build it." We had no idea that this guy was around, but he heard that we were building a satellite and he showed up on our door and said, "Well, you know, I'd like to help you." And that's been invaluable, not only from his expertise in satellite design, but it turns out that he's sort of kept up to date on what's going on in the world of satellite design. And he helped us come up with our payload idea with some research that actually was done here at the University of Tokyo on paralytic graphite sheet. It's a diametic material which has some really interesting properties. We're hoping that we can use it to create a new kind of ADCS system. Basically, PGS, if you put it against a magnetic field, either north or south, it repels both. Except that if you hit it with some 405 nanometer wavelength light, it changes the gradient and creates a moment. If you put it over a magnet and shine it with the light, the PGS will slide around. We're hoping that if you put it, attach it some distance from the center of gravity of the satellite, you can use it to control some pitch, roll, and yaw and orientation of the satellite. We just got back from our CDR, and they were happy enough with the proposed payload that we're currently in the lead in our competition. So just some closing remarks here. By creating opportunities like this, people in a position, which a number of you here are, by creating opportunities for students, some amazing things can happen. We wouldn't have an opportunity to learn about satellites. We wouldn't be here today unless an engineer had the foresight and the passion to create those opportunities. So I encourage anyone who is in that position to keep doing what you're doing. I can tell you as a student that we're very appreciative. You never know what's going to happen. Like for Camosun College, that now has an entirely new avenue to pursue for their prototyping technology, and as well as an old businessman that is very grateful to get back into satellite design and help students out. It's really created a community. And it's, I think that's great. I don't think there's any more suitable venue than a conference like this to talk about the community that UNISEC is trying to build, and a conference that reflects on the very technology that has enabled the world to connect together. But thank you very much for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.